Good morning, everybody. So today we will do the second half of my conversation with Konstantin from Letters to King. So just wanted to kind of give you the heads up here. If you hadn't seen part one, obviously that was prior to this. I had posted that yesterday. So if you want to get an idea who we're talking to, go back, watch part one. If you've already seen it, let's get on to part two. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to ask you about, Konstantin, was what the Russian population as a whole thinks of Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, the whole thing with Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, everything that's kind of going on right now, where it seems like they want to turn the entire world into a socialist slash communist entity empire everywhere. What do you see in the Russian population in responses to stuff like that?
By these agendas, I mean depopulation of, you know, world's depopulation, the policy, one world government policy, one world currency policy, and then own nothing and be happy, things like that. Just to make sure that we're on the same page here. Well, I can tell you what Russians think of these agendas, and then I tell you what I personally think. Well, first of all, it's a great question because I believe that these agendas are real. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, far from it, but I believe that these agendas do exist, and certain people are moving them forward. Russians don't know anything about these agendas. Okay, there are rumors and there are conspiracy theories, but they've been going around in Russia for years and years. Russians are more concerned with Americans trying to destroy Russia. Yes, believe it or not, but this is the theory, the biggest theory that's been going around for the past few years. And this theory was introduced by the government and promoted by the government, pushed by the government, because you see what happens in Russia. A group of people led by you know who is using Russia's resources in personal goals and making tons of not even tons of money, making trillions of dollars. All that money goes outside of Russia and does not benefit the country. Thus, our lives become worse and worse. The economy is worsening. Like year by year, we live poorer and poorer for the past 7, 8 years. But the government's got to blame someone because you cannot lie to people. Person knows how much he made back in 2012 and how much he's making right now. So to justify that change, the government says, listen, this is America's fault. Yes, the bad Americans decided to destroy Russia economically because they don't like Russians. So they put sanctions on us, they did this and they did that, and it's their fault. And a lot of Russians kind of believe that because it's said over and over again. Okay, so that's the biggest agenda 2021 and 2130, in Russia. But what if we say about world depopulation and this one world government? There are facts and no one can ignore them. The world has been going towards one world government, one world currency, okay? That's called globalization. I don't believe that people, like very few people has like an elite club and they this evil thing trying to destroy, like get rid of 6 billion people or so. But what I believe in is there's a group of people who has economic interests and they promote their interests. And their interests lie within this like globalism issues, such as one currency, one, like no borders between countries, so they can move production from one place to another, And I think that these agendas do exist. I'm not sure who stands behind them. There's a very, very popular opinion about Bill Gates. Now I hear the name of Jeff Bezos come up a few times. I'm not sure. I don't know. But I do believe that the agendas are real, and the movement is real as well. Russians, they don't think that far.
Okay, that's a little different take on it. Especially when you were saying that the Russian people are more afraid of the United States and Americans than what's going on with Davos and, like I said, Klaus Schwab and his whole gang of bandits down there. Uh, yeah, I mean, and I understand where you're coming from. It's very interesting to hear the differences, based on the information that you all can get over there and we get over here and finding out what's going on. So, thank you for giving me that perspective. So, kind of following up on that one, uh, tell me this: what are the Russian people doing to prepare, I guess, for lack of anything else, for economic turmoil, for like we talked about earlier, the inflation? I mean, are a lot of people here in the States uh, buying silver, buying land, obviously putting away extra groceries and stuff like that. What are the folks over in Russia doing?
Well, first of all, I think that this world economic turmoil is called the event in Pinball's videos, and I'm an educated economist, and I see the science of this event actually happening in the future. I believe it will happen. One simple reason: there's too much debt in America. There's government debt close to $29 trillion. There is personal debt. Americans are so overcredited with credit cards, loans, mortgages, and etc. And the corporate debt. Corporations have so much debt too. Think of a country as a household. If a household spends much more than it earns and lives by borrowing, then it's not going to end up good. Something bad will happen. There's a huge bubble right now, and it will either deflate or burst. Well, I don't know whether this event will be catastrophic, like huge flop, or simply another long recession. We'll wait and see. But this event is coming. That's for sure. So what are the Russians doing to prepare themselves to this event? Folks, Russians aren't doing anything. Russians are simply trying to make their ends meet. First of all, they are so informationally isolated. They don't really know much about this event coming. We in Russia have our own event, and it has been coming for the past 7 years, and it's called, well, how should I say it softly? It's called shit. We've been in shit for the past 6 to 7 years economically. Our government has been squeezing us dry. The taxes going up, new taxes introduced almost every month. Most businesses that existed in Russia, 10 years ago closed. Right now, there are only like 20 to 30% remaining businesses. It's amazing. I mean, it's quite hard for you to believe, but trust me, Russia's been going down. On top of everything, the United States is knocking on our heads with a huge hammer by placing sanctions on Russian banks and Russian government deals, etc. So things are economically not well here. Russians have no idea that this big event is coming to the United States, and the United States will drive that to the rest of the world. They mostly know what the Russian government says, and the Russian government says things are not too bad right now. The market's going up, Americans are wealthy, and that's what Russians know. What can they do? Not much. Even if they knew, most Russians cannot save money to make a cushion, to make a reserve. They live from paycheck to paycheck. That's pretty much it. They also take out lots of loans. They have taken out a record number of loans in the past 3 years. Not nearly as much as in the United States, but still pretty unhealthy amount. And that's pretty much it. On a bright side, Russians are very resilient to economic turmoils because we have experienced many turmoils, many like shocking situations in our economy in the past 30 years. I mean, I think we're pretty immune. We know how to get around these bad times much better than people in other countries. So that's the only bright side we have.
I think we're in complete agreement there. I've said many times, get out of debt, get out of debt, get out of debt, because I 100% agree with you. I mean, how far in debt the U.S. government is, companies are borrowing money just to stay afloat, and you have way too many Americans doing the same thing. And I mean, eventually, it's all going to come crashing down. I mean, it's got to get paid back. And you said you're seeing a little bit over there in Russia with people starting to borrow money, and it better than I do. That's such a slippery slope to get on. It doesn't take much to all of a sudden you lose everything. So uh, I really like the comment though what you were saying about Russians being more resilient. I mean that I think nobody would deny. I mean going through the whole Soviet era and then the fall of the empire, if you will, in the early 90s, and then rebuilding the entire country economically, politically into what it is now. So, yeah, I mean, resiliency, yeah, I don't think there's any question that, you guys are a lot more resilient than we are. Now, us as the prepper community, we are prepared to be resilient, but of course, we haven't faced what you do, but we're, in much better shape than most people. So, okay. Last one I wanted to ask you, and of course, this one gets real interesting. What is the public opinion in Russia of Joe Biden and all the changes that happened here in the last month since we went from Donald Trump being president, which very right of center, I don't want to say far right, but, well to the right, to Joe Biden, who's taken the country with a abrupt left turn. What's the impression of the Russian people as to relations between the United States and Russia going forward? I mean, not only politically, but just, as two people, I mean, as individuals.
Well, excellent question. I'm going to tell you what the usual Russians think, and then I tell you what I think. And please do not throw stones into me, okay? Just listen, hear my opinion until the end. Regular Russians on average, like Donald Trump and dislike Joe Biden. Somehow in the Russian media, Russian official media, because there's no Russian independent media anymore, Donald Trump was promoted when he was the president of the United States. And Joe Biden was not seen favorably. Therefore, most Russians kind of like Trump, sympathize to Trump, and kind of dislike Joe Biden. But you gotta understand, these American presidents, they're far away from us, okay? Russians don't really know much about the United States, except for very few like general images, who American president is, what Hollywood movies come out and things like that. So their opinions are very shallow. Trump is better, Joe Biden is a little worse. That's about it. Now, what I think. Well, first of all, I am a Republican. My values are God, family, hard work, and freedom, in that order. I personally do not like Donald Trump, but don't start throwing rocks. I don't care about Donald Trump as the president of the United States because I don't know much about his tenure of the president. I formed my opinion a long time ago. At first, I admired Donald Trump as a business person. That's such a big topic. I should make another separate video on that. Anyway, I used to admire Donald Trump. But then my friends from Maine, developer friends, they know him personally. They told me things about him, personal things. And I did quite a bit of research on Donald Trump. And I disliked him, but as a person, as a businessman, And I formed my opinion like 10 years ago, years before he even started thinking about becoming president of the United States. So that's my opinion about him, way before he became the president. But I think that Joe Biden is even worse, okay? I don't think he's fit to run the United States as the president, but anyway, it's my opinion. What you gotta understand, and what Russians are fundamentally wrong about, and then most Americans don't know that too, is that the Republican Party has historically been an opponent of Russia, a strong opponent, and the Democratic Party has been a great friend of Russia. And then don't take my words on that. Just these are the facts. Do your homework. Bill Clinton, all 90s, he was a friend of Russia. He made friends with Boris Yeltsin, and the countries were pretty close together. Then George W. Bush came in, and the relationship started cooling down. There were some collisions between who controls what regions, and some disagreements, because back then the Republican Party ruled, and it's a historic opponent of Russia. Then Barack Obama came, and look what happened between the two countries. The Great Reload, it was called, and it was all over the news, okay? When Russia's president was Dmitry Medvedev, Donald Trump just made huge advancements towards Russia. He liked Dmitry Medvedev, he befriended him, but then something happened when Vladimir Putin came back in 2012. There was a personal conflict between them, some kind of a grudge, and Barack Obama started hammering Russia, but not because of Russia, but because of, he had personal thing with Vladimir Putin. So he was hammering Putin and his friends. Then Hillary was supposed to replace Barack Obama in the office, and then things would have changed. Because Hillary, along with her husband, have been really old friends of Russia. The Clinton Foundation received donations from wealthy Russians. And I mean, I'm not making this up. It's a fact, just go and do your research if you don't believe me. In Russia, it's a known fact that, the Clinton Foundation, it's good guys, that always made deals and then kind of like reached agreements on things with the Russians, with Putin and his government. So Hillary was supposed to come to the office and then continue doing business with Russia. Donald Trump, all of a sudden, out of the blue, ascended into the White House. And guess what? He's a Republican backed by the Republican Party. Okay? Of course, the Democrats, nothing happened because the Democrats dropped a bomb. They accused Donald Trump of getting help from Russians who meddled with the US elections to help Donald Trump win. The Dems did it with one single purpose: to build a wall between Donald Trump and Russia, because the only people who can deal with Russia are Democrats. Okay, it's their It's their area, you know what I mean? So they did this fake accusations that Russia meddled with the elections to help Donald Trump. So every time Donald Trump would even look towards Russia, like in the United States, he would be accused, oh, you're looking towards your masters, things like that. And of course, it's complete bogus. By the way, 4 years later, Donald Trump accused same people who had been accusing him in stealing, getting help from Russians. He accused them from no, like stealing election from him. And you know what they said? They said, listen, it's impossible to hack US voting system. It's bulletproof. Well, if it's so bulletproof, how could Russians hack it 4 years prior? Doesn't make any sense, right? That's why I like Pinball, because he is full of common sense. And I think if more people like Pinball were in the United States, then things would be better.
Okay, that's a little different take than kind of what my thought was. I mean, I figured that the Russian people would be very, or at least more pro-Trump, because it was the same kind of mindset. I mean, Russian people I know are very proud to be Russian, do anything for Mother Russia, and Trump kind of brought that same mentality to the United States, with his America first, everything, proud to be an American. And, so that made sense to me. Now, what you explained about the Democrats, for all lack of a better word, being in bed with Russia, that completely makes sense too. So, very interesting take, and I thank you for sharing that. It's nice to hear, your opinion on it too. Even though, like you said, you're a Republican, a conservative, but how the relationships work. So, thank you for that. But so that'll kind of wrap it up, guys, for the conversation Konstantin and I have had here. And just wanted to say thank you, everybody, for partaking, listening to this. Hope you learned a little bit about uh, views from 9,000 miles away. So, just a different viewpoint than, like I said, the English speaking world have here. So it's really nice to hear from Konstantin. I'll say again, if you have already, wonderful. If you haven't, his YouTube channel is Letters to King. He puts out some great information out there to give you an idea of what's really going on in Russia, not just the CNN scrub crap that we see here. Uh, so, check him out, get an idea, because that's going to give you a much broader view of the world on what to prep for. And after all, that's what we're all here for. So, guys, have a great day. Pinball out.